Okay, I'm fucking torn here, boys. We have a heavyweight fucking banger of the ages. I fucking hate when the UFC does this. Why they have to pit two of my favorite fighters against each other, especially two killers. Like Uncle Chael said, I have no idea why they even did this. Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, H-Town native, our boy, hometown hero, is coming at 26-8, freshly minted UFC knockout record holder for any division. He's coming in at 265, the heavyweight limit, 6'3 with the 79-inch reach, versus an up-and-comer who, equally in his own right, is a fucking brawler. Ty Bam Bam Tuivasa. Last time we did a fucking pod on him, we did a shoey. I did a shoey.
I did a shoey. I drank something out of a boot that I hadn't worn in a couple of years. That was not beer.
It was not pleasant, but you know what? It gets it done. Bam Bam is coming at 14-3 off a 4-fight win streak. I mean, he's about as hot as any heavyweight in the world right now. He's coming in at 264, the heavyweight limit, 6'2 with the 75-inch reach. It's like, I don't even want to pick anybody. I like these guys. I think everybody likes these guys. These are two characters. Like, come on, give Ty Tuivasa to, like, I don't know, fucking Alexei Oleinik. Let him fucking take his head off or something. I don't know.
I was about to say, let Tai Tuivasa fight anybody but Derek Lewis at this point. I find it funny. And, maybe it's just because they're trying to push him. I mean, outside of my arch nemesis, Butterball Barnett, Tai Tuivasa has the most electric walkout in the heavyweight division, excluding when John Jones potentially comes back. But at that point, his Spice Girls walkout might have been the walkout of the year in 2020 or 2021, excuse me. I'm just saying he's a marketable dude. The shoeys are freaking awesome. His fan base is enormous. So it seems like they're trying to give Tuivasa the push, but
I'd have to say, I think we were the first ones on his hype train.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we were on there before we talked to the Aussie himself, before we had Brendan on the pod. We definitely were on the Tuivasa train. Go back and watch that video because we definitely talked about it.
That was one of our highest viewed videos, actually.
250 views on the rise, baby. But I mean, look at it. You go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it sucks because what's that guy's name that's a English heavyweight that's been on the rise too, that knocked out
Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is a fucking beast.
Like, I don't know why they didn't put those two guys together. I mean,
why did Derek Lewis fight Chris Dawkins? You could have put Tai Tuivasa in there with him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Derek Lewis, I think he's above him. I mean, the experience is there, the knockout power, the record. He's an artist. That's all there is to it. And so is Tai Tuivasa. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense why they're here together. I mean, especially when you have two guys that are as likable. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I know I've said that a million times already, but this only ends one way. What way is that, Zach?
With the kiss of death upon the chin of Tuivasa.
Okay, I was going to say the kiss of death upon either of their chins because somebody is getting taken out unconscious. Somebody's going to get knocked the fuck out. No, we're just being honest. Look,
wait, I don't know with your eyes again.
Huh?
You look like Tyrone Bigum's there for a second. Somebody gonna get knocked the fuck out for some crack.
I'm a blank your wife blank style.
Yeah, Derek.
If you know, Lewis, you know. Vine days.
Derek Lewis was talking at the press conference today and said for his birthday a couple of weeks ago, he did 2 workouts. He did one in the morning and then he had a second workout with his wife. Quote unquote, we did some things that we've never tried before. So congratulations to Derek Lewis on the sex. I'm sure his balls was hot. But, looking at this from an actual perspective, Derek Lewis fought in the middle of December. It hadn't even been 2 months since Derek Lewis fought. He got out of there and made it look like pretty easy work. Obviously, the quick turnaround strikes me as interesting because it seems like he was insistent on being on this Houston card in his hometown because the last time he did so, he didn't look so great. So I think this fight is important to Derek Lewis. I mean, what is he putting on the line versus what is Tai Tuivasa putting on the line? I think Derek Lewis still in his head thinks that there's a Francis Ngannou fight waiting for him out there one day. So I think he's still motivated. He looks in about as good of physical shape as I've ever seen him in, which is going to be important as he gets older. And, you know, Greg Hardy clipped Tai Tuivasa. I think Tai Tuivasa has been clipped. He's known to firefight like Cody Garbrandt, and you just can't get clipped by Derek Lewis.
I agree 100%. I mean, that's going to be a deciding factor in my pick. Because Derek Lewis doesn't get hit like that? Question mark. I mean, besides Cyril Gane, but that was more of an accumulation more than anything.
Look, that's the only contingency that makes me nervous. You know, if Tai Tuivasa comes out like we've seen him do in the past and start putting that pressure on him, Derek Lewis is known to get backed up against the cage and have bad things happen to him when his back is against the cage. But I more so imagine they're going to come out and swap a couple of leg kicks for, 15, 20 seconds. And at that point, Derek Lewis is going to go to work. I think,
or it could be Derek Lewis versus Francis one, which was.
No, I don't think that's in Tai Tuivasa's blood. I think he'd rather get knocked out than put on a boring fight.
Absolutely. But before we go to the odds, I have to mention one thing. Where does the heavyweight division go if this goes the way of Derek Lewis? I mean, he beat an up-and-comer that was hot in Chris or Kyle Dawkins, one of the Dawkins brothers. And then he comes back a month and a half later and maybe hypothetically smokes Tai Tuivasa, who's also hot. There's nobody else except John Jones and Stipe. And I don't think Stipe has any interest.
Derek's been calling for the Stipe fight. He wants Stipe. I could certainly see him being John Jones's welcome fight to the heavyweight division, which, should go in Jones's favor, but could definitely be a very unwelcoming welcome. But I agree. I think if Derek Lewis wins, he becomes an anomaly because what do you do with him? You have to put him in there with somebody, in that upper echelon of the division.
Well, there's a logjam. If you think about it, I don't want to get too deep into this, but you got the champion Francis. Who knows what the hell is going to happen with him in the contract dispute? You have the former interim champion who got beat in Cyril Gane, who was taken down like a rag doll, which is so out of the ordinary for Francis. You got Stipe, who's already beat Francis and could definitely beat Cyril, considering Cyril's ground defense. And then you have John Jones, the newcomer. And then you have Derek Lewis at the end. So he's the odd man out. It's oddly stacked, which is weird.
It's interesting. The more we play mental chess with each other, the more this fight starts to make sense in my head, because I think if Derek Lewis wins, he becomes, Dana's bargaining power in anything. Because like you said, there's a ton of contenders at the top of the heavyweight division right now, but how many of them actually want to fight? Like, we don't know when we'll see Francis Ngannou again. Cyril might want to say, hey, I just got my ass beat. I want to go back to the drawing board. Give me a couple of months. It sounds like Stipe's game for a comeback. Who knows what the fuck's going on with John Jones? And
the only one that will fight is Derek Lewis.
Derek Lewis will fucking fight, man. That's the thing. Like, you could certainly do him versus Curtis Blades part 2, but that doesn't really get my whistle wet. I think, if an interim belt comes up and we can't find guys to fight, why not put Derek Lewis in there?
Well, that's enough of fucking what ifs. I'm not playing the fucking game. However,
okay,
we're playing a game with these fucking monies and the fucking odds this week. We got Derek Lewis, the favorite, coming at minus 178. Tai Tuivasa plus 165. And if you're a Tai Tuivasa fan, you're confident in your Kiwi, you're fucking taking that to the bank all day. I'm sure these KO plus 260 for Tuivasa by KO. Shit, say less.
Look, that might be the bet.
That
That
might
might
be
be.
that is the bet. I'm not gonna lie. That might have turned my tide.
I mean,
Why the
the
fuck
only
not?
thing I see that's even close to competing with that, and you got to meet some check marks on this one. Lewis wins by TKO KO in round 1. You got to go way down, Gage. But it's at plus 175. I mean, that's the best odds you're going to get on Lewis, other than Lewis wins by knockout in round 2 is plus 700. That might be a safer bet. I mean, that might, excuse me, not a safer bet, a more risky bet, but would certainly pay higher dividends.
I mean, I think yeah, that's not it. Like honestly, plus 175 Lewis TKO round 1. That's not it. I mean, I think if you want to make some money, and like again, these aren't the most surefire, but like if you want to make some money, throw $100 on Tuivasa plus 260. I mean, you're making some cash, son. Like no doubt about it. And the thing is, like I don't know if you agree with me. There's obviously Francis Power, and then I think there's a tear down of Derek Lewis Power, and I think Tai Tuivasa is on the same power tier, hands wise, as Derek Lewis. I mean, and not there aren't humans that can withstand that kind of power.
No,
I mean, it's been shown time and time again.
I agree. I mean, there it's not physically possible. You know, I think we forgot to touch on the fact that at minus 180 for a money line, if you do just want to bet on Derek Lewis, Lewis by knockout at minus 110, not the best odds for a prop bet, but certainly better than minus 180. You make a few extra bucks there. So I think we're both going to ride Derek Lewis. Obviously, there's the Tai Tuivasa on the chin contingency, but you know, we're saying the hometown kid redeems himself here.
I'm definitely saying that. I think it's gonna be a good fight regardless. I hate to see anybody get knocked out. I hate to see either of these fellas lose, but I'd hate even more to see a draw.
That's true. Look, I would hate to not have to see a shoey, but I would also hate to not see what Derek Lewis will do if he wins after he threw his cup into the crowd last time.
I want a fucking NFT boy.
Tai Tuivasa said he'd do a cuppy out of Derek Lewis's cup, so